Canadian listeners and viewers of This Week in Interview. Welcome to another episode. I think this is episode 11 of season 14 of This Week in Interview with your host and guide, Anthony Drago. It's always a pleasure to be here with you on a Wednesday evening. And those of you who make the effort to come every Wednesday, thank you for showing up. Thank you for making This Week in Interview part of your weekly schedule. I don't take that for granted at all because I know there's so much going on, especially on a Wednesday night. There's a lot going on, so much so that some of you look at something else and you catch this on the replay, or you go seek it out on YouTube, on Instagram, all of the platforms that this weekend interview is on. If you're listening in Dominica, on RVR Jams Radio on DigiPlay Channel 59. Welcome to you. I hope you guys are having great weather and a great time in Dominica. In the Toronto market, Radio Online SBE, Radio SBE Online in the Toronto market also carries this week in interview live. So welcome to you guys. Of course, all of the guests. If tonight is the first time that you're listening to this week in interview, welcome. I hope you like our discussion enough to give us a second chance and a third chance. And before you know it, you too are a regular viewer of this weekend interview. Don't forget to inform your friends that this weekend interview is live. Share the link. Let them see sharing what we talk about, because the more people who are there, the movement that we're trying to create has a better chance of making it. And tonight we're talking about the most important topic in life, the actual most important topic, which is health. It doesn't matter what you have. If you don't have health, it means almost nothing. Of course, if you have health, that's a good start, because with good health, you can go out and work on finding everything else. So I think your health is the single most important topic that we can discuss as human beings traveling this earth. And so tonight I have two guests, Miss Nurse Rosie Felix and Mr. Ronald Charles, and we are commemorating a World Health Day, which was marked on Sunday the 7th of April was World Health Day. And I thought, even if the day had already passed, every day you should be taking care of your health. And it's never too late to start to take your health more seriously. And so I decided to commemorate it anyway. So let's take a quick break, grab your drink, send the link to whoever it is that you think would benefit from this topic. And when we come right back, I'll be introducing you to my guests, Miss Rosie Felix and Mr. Ronald Charles, joining me from Dominica. So see you soon. Favorite beverage, and since we're talking health, one of the best beverages that you can make your favorite beverage can be water. And in Dominica, if that's where you are, we have some of the best water in the world. Very, very best water in the world in Dominica. So I hope you got the opportunity to grab some water and sit down and let's have a discussion about health. On April 7th, that was last week, Sunday just gone. Sunday this week, not last week, Sunday just gone, the 7th of April, the United Nations recognized World Health Day. And the theme of this year's World Health Day was My Health, My Right. My Health, My Right. And I wanted that to sink in because it is your right to enjoy good health. And like with any right, there comes privileges and there comes responsibility. And so if you're a regular listener to This Week in Interview, you know we always advocate taking charge of your health, making sure that you are responsible for your health, that you do your annual checkups, that you advocate with your doctor, and if you need somebody to speak up with you, bring them with you. Do your colonoscopy every 4 or 5 years. Women do your breast exam, do your pap smear. Men do your prostate exam annually. Take charge of your health. That's your responsibility. And on the privilege side, you have a right to good health. You live in a country, and that country has a right to give you access to good health. And what does that look like? It might be good water, fresh water, clean air, um, relatively stress-free existence, um, nutritious food, that sort of thing. So, what does good health look like? And I like to think that Dominicans should automatically and naturally know what good health looks like, but we will find out, we will flesh out and explore some of those things, because my guest tonight on This Week in Interview is Nurse Rosie Felix. Rosie, as I call her, nurse. So she's a nurse by profession, a midwife by specialization, but she also describes herself as a wife, as a mother, as a, I said midwife. Um, but interestingly, when she sent her description, said she's an encourager. So we talk about that, and of course, being a healthcare professional, I am expecting that she encourages. Part of her encouragement industry is to encourage people to seek better health. She's an entrepreneur and advocate for rights and justice. So that's one of my guests that's taking care of my health. And of course, the other side of it is my right. And so I decided that I would choose an attorney to talk about rights. What does it mean when you say my right? And I remember a few years ago, my guest, Mr. Ronald Charles, was doing a one-man protest, um, on behalf, advocating for nurses and for better working conditions and better rewards for nurses. And I like that. That stuck with me. That had an impression on me. And so when I heard the topic, I'm like, okay, um, Nurse Felix is a strong advocate for our rights in Dominica, because she's a healthcare professional, and Mr. Charles has the good, um, how we want to say, caring, empathetic type of stance towards, really looking at the system and helping us to decipher what is our right. And so I decided to invite him on. He's an attorney at law. He's an attorney at law by profession. He's a community leader. Um, he's deputy leader of the United Workers Party. But I see a lot of his work with the youth. So he's a youth leader, he's a sportsman, he's a musician. And of course, remember, I think he had a hit song. Um, I believe it was After Maria, but we'll go into all of those details. But my guests tonight, give them a warm welcome. There's Rosie Felix and Mr. Attorney at Law Ronald Charles. Welcome to you both. I am going to you first. There's a ladies first. Um, I'm going to go to you first, Miss Felix. I see you on the media all the time, and I am encouraged by your strong advocacy for our people, not just in your professional health, but in general. And so it is a great honor and privilege to welcome you for the first time on my program on This Week in Interview. Good night to you and welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Drago. Good night, good evening to all
Evening.
your listeners, all your followers, those on Dominica, and those wherever they are on the World Wide Web. I really appreciate this invitation and I hope I can deliver.
I've
Thank
seen you
you.
deliver. I have no doubt that we're going to have a really dynamic and interesting conversation about folks and their health, you know. And of course, your co-guest, my co-guest, yeah, on the show tonight
Yes.
is
Good
Mr.
night,
Ronald.
Ronald. Good night.
Good night, Ronald. I am sure you guys cross paths many times because you seem to be fighting the same fight a lot of the times.
We double book tonight and we'll talk about that tomorrow.
But Ronald, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on. It's your first time as well. Both of you, I put you on notice. It's not going to be your last time. But welcome for the first time, Ronald, to this week
Thank
interview.
you. Thank you, Mr. Drago. And of course, good evening to Nurse Rosie, if she doesn't mind me to speak of her in those words. It's a pleasure being here. A good evening to all your listeners. I believe when I was contacted to be a guest on this show, I was like, health. I said, but wait now. I am not a professional person as it relates to health. But when I heard that my co um, when I heard that Miss Nurse was present, I said, "Well, that's easy now. We can handle this." So, all right, all right. But what is important is, and I know that Mr. Drago, you spoke about the issue of rights. We all under the Constitution as a fundamental right. You know, we have rights to liberty, rights to property, rights to education, and just name it, the list goes on and on. And a right to good health. It is fundamental that we understand this, and that those who govern has a responsibility to ensure that the issue of health is paramount. Because without healthy people, put it this way, then your nation will perish. You'll come to an end. And therefore, it's a wonderful, I take, great pleasure in being here this evening. And I hope that we can do the best that we can in our capacity.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I'm going to stay with you for a minute. I remember, well, I live in the US now, and I remember one time I was sitting at the lunch table. I work in construction, and so when we take lunch, we sit around the table, and so the guy opposite me, he was a strong supporter of the Republican Party, and at the time there was a debate about healthcare, and I said, the US spends so much money on war, and yet they have a problem in providing universal health care, not even for children. And he said to me, the Constitution says that the government has to defend the country. So that is something that's in the Constitution, but the Constitution doesn't say that the country has to provide health for its
Mhm.
people. And so I hear you talk about the Constitution, and you said the Constitution, we have a right to education, we have a right to, did you say assembly? We
Yeah.
have a right to whatever it is. But our constitution is also silent, right? It's implied, I guess, but it doesn't specifically call out that um, the government has a right to provide proper health care for its citizens, does it?
Well, this is how we have to look at it.
Hmm.
You will know that when you govern, you put people in position of leadership.
Hmm.
And the government has various policies in place, and the government ought to have policies in place as it relates to health and as it relates to that protection of ensuring its citizenry is in good health. So that obligation is there, and it is important to understand that. The other thing is, think about it this way. you put people in position so that when you go to the hospital and there is no paracetamol, they must be accountable, because then there is a backlash to this in terms of negligence, because there's supposed to be certain systems in place to ensure that when persons come to these institutions, they get the necessary care that they deserve. So it
Right.
is there
So
in
it's
more ways than
it's
one.
there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take that for now. The debate as to whether when we amend our constitution we should put something explicitly there, we'll save that debate for another time.
Of
Nurse,
course.
Nurse Felix, very experienced nurse, a nurse midwife, and so being a midwife, you get a chance to see us first when we pop out, and being a nurse, you also probably get to see some folks when they take their last breath, literally from start to finish. And you also have that experience over multiple years. Um, I know I didn't give you enough chance to bring statistics, but how would you rate from being a person who I guess also consumes the healthcare service that Dominicans offer? How would you rate the healthcare that Dominicans have access to? We can keep it broad. We can say excellent, we can say good, we can say average, we can say needs a lot of work, we can say what healthcare you're talking about. So if that was the range, where do we fall in terms of access to proper healthcare services in Dominica? Your opinion, of course.
But of course, yeah. I would say, listening, as a nurse, when I seek healthcare, my personal experience has always been a good experience. But when you listen to the general public, and when persons tell me their experiences, and when I do an evaluation, because I'll tell you, a few years ago, before the board was first established, we had to make various organizations was asked to make recommendations, and a lot of recommendations were made. And if I have to evaluate, as your question you've put to me right now, I would fail our health system.
A
I
feeling
would,
good.
yes, I would fail our health system because um, what if even PAHO had evaluated our primary healthcare system, considering where our primary healthcare system was, and where we are now. I sought what my international nurses organization had to say about the theme for World Health Day, and with some focus being put on universal health coverage.
Mhm.
The president said, um, unfortunately, member countries have failed in their investment into health. Hence, we are far from universal health coverage. So, if I'm to use universal health coverage as the yardstick, we are far from there. And if the rule is that most people cannot afford health care, or rather many people cannot afford health care, many people have to go abroad, including the leaders who are providing healthcare. They have to go abroad for healthcare, and our access is diminished. So I mean, access is not just access to the facility, is access to basic health supplies, access to professionals, healthcare professionals. Then we're in a bad state. We are in a bad
So
state. There's a lot of improvement that
that we
we
need.
need at this point.
So I'm listening to you, and in general, when we read about folks who have places that have challenges in health, they usually can associate it with lack of access to clean drinking water, they're associated to pollution, polluted air. They're associated to starvation or famine, or they're associated with conflict or war. And I can go along the list. And I'm saying that if we go along the list, you can none of those items you can check in Dominica. Dominica has some of the best water in the world. We still have some of the cleanest air. We don't have war. Every once in a while we get hit by a hurricane, and I still think that Dominicans have access to some basic nutrition. So how is it that all of those factors which usually you associate with poor health are absent, but yet on your assessment, Dominica is getting a failing grade in health?
Well, that's a good observation. And what really matters to people is what at the time when they fall ill. So
Mm-hmm.
you're right. We have good water. We have we don't have physical war, but we do have a mental war. I beg to differ with you. We have
Okay.
a political war that is stressing out the citizenry, and so yeah, we have a lot of natural foods. We grow a lot of foods, but the economy plays a part. And
Mm-hmm.
if people do not have the resources to purchase the healthy foods, trust me, the healthy foods cost more than the what we call junk food or unhealthy foods. And if people do not have that to buy, then that is a problem. So the factors you have raised are legitimate factors: water, safe drinking water,
Clean
um
air.
yeah, absence of physical war, but
Mm-hmm.
we must not leave out the mental aspect of health. As a matter of fact, the WHO definition for disease is not the necessarily for health, rather, is not necessarily the absence of disease. So the mental health comes in right there. And they're saying, when you what you need the most, if it's absent, it's like it just it's a big part of the puzzle. And I will tell you, everyone, I would say everyone in Dominica. Well, that's a broad brush statement.
We
So I say
understand.
many people
Mm-hmm.
are literally afraid to go to the China Friendship Hospital. People are dead scared. That's a bad sign. So yes, they have safe drinking water at home. Yes, some of them have a job. Some do not have. Some who have a job with no proper salary, they have to downgrade. They have to downgrade their healthy lifestyle because they cannot afford a healthy lifestyle. People have to delay the cost, even the cost, the things that are available. And when it comes to surgery, I think our hospital has done, I could rate our hospital very high when it comes to surgery, but many people cannot afford the cost of surgery. And as we speak
So,
about
so
universal.
sorry for interrupting. When you say you can rate them high on surgery, you mean that we have skilled surgeons? Is that what you
Yes,
plus
yes, we do.
facilities? Okay.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we have skilled nurses as well. We have
Mm-hmm.
very experienced skilled nurses.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't have enough of them, and
Mm-hmm.
when they don't have the supplies
Right.
to deliver, you can have a ward with the most experienced nurses, but they don't have supplies to deliver. That becomes a problem. You can have a state of the art facility, but you do not have sufficient professionals there to deliver, and sufficient supplies. Then that takes away from the picture. And if people are afraid to go to your hospital, that too is a problem.
That is a huge problem. So, Ronald, that
And
comes.
I agree with
Go
you.
ahead.
The
Mhm.
hospital is not the only aspect of healthcare. So I'm happy. So water, um, safe, safe
Clean,
drinking water,
clean air,
food,
food.
yes, and
Yeah.
so on. Also, decent working, decent jobs,
Right.
decent jobs.
the ability, access to it. So some of the things are the access to it. So Ronald, I'm going to come to you before we go to break. Um, rights. How do we then get Dominicans to understand that this is not a favor? This is something that is an entitlement. It's basically a right. You have a right as a citizen to have a hospital that you have confidence in. You have services that the average person, not even average, that people who are less than average should be able to access and shouldn't be kept out because of economic reasons. How do we move towards helping folks to understand that is a right, and then even the next step to
Let,
demand those
let,
rights?
thank you, Mr. Drago. As I said, I'm not the expert in this field,
But the
so it's a
law,
very
the rights.
educational discussion,
Mhm.
which would assist me tremendously in my in the legal aspects of things. But let me say this: the New York Times reported recently in a landmark climate ruling European court, right, in Switzerland,
Mhm.
about the issue. The experts said it was the first time an international court determined that the governments were legally obligated to meet their climate, right, targets under human rights law. And I believe it when the news came out, I kind of saw a little glimpse of it, and I can be subjected to corrections. It's basically some women that are saying, hey, because of the way that you treated the environment, it affected me as a person. And the court agreed with them because I believe they could not have gone out, they couldn't have done the recreational thing, they couldn't have breathed in the nice, clear air, etc., etc. And they got redress today. They're 70 years of age, I believe, group of women, and they were successful. All right. This means that government, right, have that obligation to ensure it people and the health status is on point. Now, we heard nurse speak of people are afraid to even go to the hospital to do basic to get basic treatment and so forth. You can't have a healthcare system where persons are afraid. Persons supposed to be confident that if somebody's at home and they're suffering for something, they could say, take me to the hospital, because they know that there is where they're supposed to get proper health. And that is a right. Because, as I said earlier in my opening remarks, if there are malpractices when I get there, for whatever reasons, the court will give you an opening to be able to take those who are responsible for their negligence act, take them to court and get redress.
And get redress. And that is where
So
the right comes
that
in.
right is fundamental, because
Fundamental.
it is saying that not because, persons have a right to take care of themselves and to do what they have to do as an individual. However, it places emphasis on the state providing the necessary facilities and trained individuals to be able to sustain that important aspect of our community and of our society. And therefore, that right is fundamental.
I
And that
like
is
that.
why I'm very happy with the European Court and its decision, its recent decision, as to you saying that I cannot go out in the sun and do what I have to do. Well, it's because of the way you treated the environment. And we're taking it from a different perspective too.
No, all that is help.
Environmental health,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
health is so wide. I think you need maybe a whole week to be able to cover it. So I'm saying, even from an environmental perspective, people take it very seriously. And the courts are agreeing that at the end of the day, you have to do the right thing. I mean, when we have situations in Dominica, for example, where our nurses, those who are so important to the healthcare system, cannot get home on time, struggling for uniforms, struggling to get an increase in salary, difficulty um, in ensuring, that is the nurses, difficulty in doing what they have to do as part of their responsibility. Somebody must be held responsible for that. And it's the
That's
policies and procedures that you put in place that would be able to enhance those areas so that our healthcare system can get the boost.
all right. So I like where that is because I have some questions that I want to ask about outcomes that are preventable and what kind of redress do citizens have be, against the people who are tasked with providing them proper health care. But let's take a quick break. We have a few folks who make it possible for us to be here. So let's get a quick word from the sponsors and we'll be right back. Folks, if you joined us late, my guests tonight are Nurse Rosie Felix and Mr. Ronald Charles. Ronald is an attorney at law. Rosie is a nurse. You never stop being a nurse. Her specialization is midwife, but she's also a very popular advocate for just rights in general. And so tonight we're discussing the World Health Day theme, My Health, My Rights. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with our wonderful guest. Stay tuned.
Presented by.
People say I've got a great smile. Well, I have to say, this is all thanks to the professional team at Beacon Dental Group right here in Dorchester, Massachusetts. I've got world-class dental care. Beacon Dental Group has expert and caring staff dedicated to providing the most advanced and satisfactory treatment in all aspects of oral health. Their services are designed to meet your needs and give you a perfect smile, too. General checkups, cosmetic surgery, Gemini laser service, and advanced procedures, all in a state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit Beacon Dental Group today, 1026 Blue Hill Avenue, Dorchester, Massachusetts, or call 617-282-2146 for a smile that lights the world.
How much Dominican history do you know? Want to learn some fun facts? We have a great and fun way to test your knowledge and learn more about our history. Get your copy of Dominic Anu, Dominica in Puzzle. Fun for the whole family. Available now on Amazon.com. Visit pushpast10.com to learn more. Email us at dominicainpuzzle@gmail.com or call 877-698-9894. Looking to promote your business, engage current customers, and reach new people? Well, look no further. From the basic presentation to a fully fledged advertisement, use your video ads to attract customers. At Man's Audiovisual Productions, we do just that. We produce videos for business and event promotions, product demo videos, animated explainer videos, fundraiser ads, and much, much more. Engage your clients and sell online. We customize the video to match your brand design. Guaranteed to play flawless on all devices, including smart TVs. Contact us at telephone number 203-690-4342 or 767-245-6238. Visit our website, mansaudiovisual.com, or email us at derekvideo@gmail.com.
Thank you so much to our sponsors, Man's Audiovisual. They do our flyers for this week in interview. See a bang up job that they do. They do small jobs like flyers, and they do full production, live stream, and if you want a flash drive or whatever it is you want your memory to remember your special event, they're able to do that. Man's audio visual. Beacon Dental Health, the Dominican owned um, dental facility in Boston, state of the art, um, arrival, any quality anywhere in the world, first class. And of course, now that vacation season is starting, you have to get a few copies of Dominica New, Dominica in Puzzle. Learn about Dominica. Test yourself. What do you think you really know about Dominica? So thank you to our guests, not our guests, but our sponsors. They keep our mics alive. And those of you who are listening to us or watching us on Instagram at TDN Radio Caribbean, or you may be on tdntv.net, you might be on our Facebook page, tdnradio.net. This Week in Interview also has a Facebook page. I encourage you to give us a like, subscribe so you'll know when your favorite, and hit the notification bell. You'll know when your favorite program is coming on. I say good evening to some of the regular listeners. Owen Prosper is always there. The Easter is there as well. Lofty, regular. I saw some other folks before earlier saying hi, Sophs. Derek Man of Man's Audio Visual is here as well. Um, there was a comment that the Easter put on here. She said the right to health was first recognized in 1946 World Health Organization Constitution, which states that the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health is one of the fundamental rights of every human being without distinction of race, religion, political belief, economic, or social condition. So it means that if you are stuck in Dominica because you cannot afford to go overseas for treatment, but you are being denied health care as opposed to someone who can take a loan or go to their bank account to get a relative to do that for them. We should be able to enjoy good health care where we live. And as I said, as I hinted before, it should be relatively easy in Dominica compared to everywhere else because we have all the basics in place: clean water, fresh air, good food, natural food if we choose to, and you know, no wars that's preventing us from going to get food or planting food or that kind of thing. We have some things that we have to work on in terms of stress, as Nurse Felix said, but in general, in terms of physical harm, we can avoid that. So welcome back after the break, folks. My guest tonight is Nurse Rosie Felix and Mr. Ronald Charles, and we are talking about the World Health Day, which was commemorated on Sunday gone, the 7th of April, under the theme My Health, My Right. Now, I don't know what it is right now, but I remember a couple of years ago, we were doing a program talking about, I think it was Cancer Week or month or whatever it was. And one of the things that came out was that there was not like a functioning mammogram machine at the hospital, for whatever reason. Whether there was a machine there and it was broken and waiting to be fixed for too long, or there wasn't a technician that could up whatever it was. It was difficult for a Dominican woman living in Dominica to get her annual breast exam. And also came on with that was that one of the factors that influences a positive outcome on a breast cancer diagnosis was early detection. And so when you are not able to regularly go to your public health institution and get a breast exam annually, and maybe so because of the cost, maybe you do it once every 3 years or you don't do it at all or whatever, and then you get diagnosed, and by the time you get diagnosed it's already too far gone, and you either end up with drastic surgery or worse, you end up succumbing to that cancer. uh, Rosie, as a woman, as a healthcare professional, as a Dominican, I hope that is not still the case. I hope that mammograms and breast exam and the different diagnostic equipment and facilities and personnel are more available now, so that our people can, because to me that's fundamental towards good health. um, I do you have an update? Do people still talk about not having access to those types of tests, the diagnosis? Your mic is muted.
Yeah, I cannot speak to the presence of a mammogram machine right now, but I haven't heard complaints. To
You
be
have no
honest,
complaint.
I haven't
Okay,
heard
so that's good
complaints.
news. That's good
That,
news.
yes, that is good news, because we our health promotion department, in all fairness to them, they promote a lot the need for screening.
Hmm.
And so it's always unfortunate when there isn't. What I um, know also, that was there was a shortage of, and a lot of women, when I had my office at Hasbro, women do take the responsibility to do their pap smear seriously. And there was a shortage for a long time of pap smear slides in the public system, and not everyone could afford to go to the private healthcare for that. So you really want the supplies available, because talking the factors you raised earlier for prevention of disease, that's very important. But when the disease has set in, when it has set in, you want you want to have the supplies for to treat people. So the mammogram, that's something you want there all the time. And if it breaks down today, you ought to have a team of technicians who can set it up again in quick time. If there's a missing part, you want to be able to access that within a reasonable time, so people should not go too long. And you also want, when people do their screening test, you want results available within a reasonable time as well. That's an important um, factor here. We've had cases where people, they've done their test, but because there's no internet, in the department, radiology department, they can't get the results. And I'm a person of high standard, and often people, when you criticize the system, people tend to think, oh, you're just critical. Hello, when I was working at the hospital, we had something called grand wrongs. That was the wrongs that our nursing leaders did. And we were held we had a very high standard. So if you met that standard, it was tick, tick, tick. And if you didn't meet the standard, it was an X. So it's not like we ought to meet the standard and have a 90%, not just settle for 50% and say, well, they're too critical. We ought, and that's what health is about, high standard. Otherwise, we sick and we lag on, ready to die. So if you hear me speak um, strongly about what we have or we don't have, what we're not delivering, it's because right there when it used to be the Princess Margaret Hospital, I learned high standards. And today, when I demand high quality and excellence, it's because I learned it there in the 80s. You get me?
Yes.
So
Hmm.
we have to check ourselves at a high standard if we want to deliver high quality care, which is one of um right to high quality care
In other words, we should not be regressing.
at
No.
all.
We should not be regressing. If we had that standard, we should not be falling back. And as you said, if there is an inspection, a grand run, and we realize we're slipping, that should trigger an action plan to shore that up and to bring it back up to the standard that it should be. So Ronald, as put on your attorney's hat, your advocate for rights hat. People need to be really holding those folks accountable, no?
Of course.
Um, we need to demand it. So Nurse Felix is saying, when I criticize, people think I'm just being critical. But I think that we should even go one step further. Not only criticize, take the system up to task, up to the point where we take them to court and sue somebody for the untimely death of my loved ones because they were diagnosed too late because the machine was down for 6 months or 2 years or whatever the case. Um, how do we get that kind of activism and really, real vigilance in our people to understand that that is a right? Nobody is doing you a favor by having a hospital that works properly.
Let me start by saying this. In the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Social Services 2023-2024, I believe, budget. The overview says this: the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Social Services, has the overall responsibility to develop and to promote health, wellness, and social services using a collaborative approach with various stakeholders while keeping abreast with current standards of international practices. The World Health Organization said there are key components that we must bear in mind: improving the health status of individual families and communities, defending the population against what threatens its health, protecting people against the financial consequences of ill health, and providing equitable access to people-centered care, making it possible for people to participate in decisions affecting their health and their health system.
Right.
We have a responsibility, therefore, stemming from the World Health Organization. And that too embraces the issue of leadership and governance. Nurse Rosie spoke of the health information system, and it has been improving, and we're doing much better, and in all fairness to them and so forth. All that fall within the ambit of the responsibility of a government.
What do you say we're doing better with? The collection of
in terms
information?
of the information
And
promotion.
No. I think she's talking about education of folks, right?
Or education. No.
Because the reason why, hold on a second for me, because the reason why I wanted to highlight that, if that's what it was, Nurse Felix was talking about the educational awareness of folks of the importance of screening.
Okay.
Because I believe that one of the simple things that can be done is the collection of data. And I am not of the it hasn't come to my attention that data is readily available. So that you see what you just read about the Ministry of Health. The Ministry of Health now should be able to take that mandate and have the data to analyze, to inform what actions and what policies they would need to push based on actual data. So I'm happy that about that, because that is one of those things that that we need to pay attention. But I want you to continue making your point. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that.
Another important aspect of the World Health Organization and how they look at it, they also place emphasis on health financing. Now, let's look at this one as an example. There are many persons within, and don't get me wrong, because I'm not an advocate to come there, because I know that persons may listen and they say, well, it's been negative and negative and negative. I will say, for the record, I believe we have the best eye specialists in the world. I mean, take me to task. I believe we have some brilliant doctors. I believe we have wonderful nurses. I believe we have good people who understand the importance of our primary healthcare system. I believe we have some good things going. However, ensuring that there is not a regress. You say a long time ago, things were doing much better. Things were happening. And now things seems to be going. In other words, as Nurse said, you had to get 99%, not 50 and believe it's going to work out. They would keep you to a standard. There's a standard that one have to keep. And I was making a reference. Let me go back to the health financing. And I'm giving this example. Why on earth a poor person's child from Capuchin who has a problem, right? They arrive at the hospital and they're busy on the telephone trying to get a government minister to approve whether or not they should go to Martinique. In my mind, there should be a policy in place. And that policy is, you come, you need it, you're going to get it, no matter no matter where you come from, no matter what your backgrounds are. And this is some of the problems that I think a lot of our people are facing. And furthermore, why would you come to the to the Dominica China Friendship Hospital? And then this is not working. And that is not working. You know, it's a nice building. I don't have a problem with that. Wonderful building. Just thing is that when you are not feeling too well and you have some issues, I don't think the building heal you more than if the human resource and the facilities were functioning at a high standard. I'd prefer to have a very ugly looking building. And then when you walk in there, everything is good and you can walk back out as well taken care of. So I believe that financial issue is important, you know, and we cannot continue to believe that the people of Dominica do not deserve that kind of policy making, where you do not have to call call any government minister to be able to be flown out. It's supposed to be on the books, and the persons who administer the health, who administer the hospital, have the power to do certain things without having, in other words, have the power to save lives.
Right.
And that is what I believe that is where I believe we need to get. It's not like, you know, almost picking and choosing. We cannot play politics with people's health. You cannot do that. It is not fair to them. It is contrary to the World Health Organization. And it is what Nurse Rosie, when she started her presentation, speak of. You can't be afraid to go to the Dominica Friendship Hospital because you're not sure what is going to happen to you. So we do have legislation surrounding, for example, the Mental Health Act. You know, there is so many health issues. Persons are left, you know, sometimes the nurses and the doctors' hands are tied. They don't know what to do because there is not, the medication is not there, the equipment is not working, this is not happening, and people figure, well, it's a nice building, it's okay, it's better than nothing. I'll rest there for now. So
you say you will rest there for now, but again we come back to rights.
Right.
And therefore, where I want to go with it is that if the survival of your child depends on the approval of a minister, how does that infringe on your right as a citizen? Because if that minister know that Rosie Felix is your auntie and Rosie Felix is always criticizing the government, or Ronald Charles is the deputy leader of United Workers' Party and Ronald Charles is your uncle or your dad or your father or something, that might have an influence on the decision of the minister to approve that person going out for care or not. So right away we come back to people's right, that what you're saying is that the system should be blind. It should be a medical decision, and therefore people can enjoy the right of free expression because they know their free expression is not going to impinge on their ability to access health.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the issue of our citizenry must understand this, that if you go to a healthcare facility and there are professionals who, have to take care of you and do what they have to do, and that they were negligent in certain things, whatever it was, then you can take action against them. You have that right.
You have that right to
You have
expect
that
of
legal
all of
right.
them.
You first of all, and that is why it is important to document what happened. What time you came in? What time did they check you? What time, you went to take the x-ray? Or what time did you do this? Who checked you? Is it the security guard? Is it the nurse? So this kind of information is important so that you can establish a course of action and see if person fall short of the necessary legislation that has been put in place, right? The necessary legislation that have been put in place to ensure that persons are responsible. And persons are not necessarily responsible, because I say it this way: you are responsible based on your job description, but you are accountable is another level. Because if the person needs that help, it falls within accountability, and not, well, it's my responsibility to do X, Y, and Z. That is where it reached, and then that's the end of it.
Right.
So one, I think that is important. So yes, there are redress. There are actions that person can take to ensure that their right to health, is safeguarded.
I have a little graphic of some data as a producer to put it up on the screen, just as we approach the close. Um, it, it's a little far off, but what it is the diagnosis of the death of cancer patients between the years 2017 to 2022. I'll just walk you through it. That tall line right here is breast cancer, and that tall blue line right here is prostate cancer.
Wow.
So that's men and that's women. When I calculated it from the chart, in the 5 years we have over 500 deaths from cancer overall. Averaging, so that average is like 103 or so per year. And if you have 52 weeks in a year, that means two people died of cancer every year on average a week. Now I'm just putting that up for two reasons. One is to show the importance of having data, because if you put that in front of somebody who's responsible for healthcare, and you say, wow, I'm losing two of my, in a small country like Dominica, I'm losing two of my citizens every week to cancer, that is worth more of an investment. And therefore, with that information, a case can be made to replace the mammogram machine earlier, to fund the agencies that do the education to encourage men to come and do their prostate exams earlier, to make sure that we don't run out of the kits to do the pap smear and so on. We can see, okay, what is killing our people more? This is one of them, and therefore we could address that. That's okay. We can take it off the screen now. Nurse Felix, as we've exhausted our hour, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to make some closing remarks. You can comment on that chat that I just put up. I broke it down. I know it was a little small, so the numbers were difficult to see, but I wanted to highlight the two main ones: women batting on breast cancer and the men batting on prostate cancer. There were all the others as well. They run the full gamut. But the idea about health data for decision making, I heard you make reference to a board earlier, and I think maybe you're making reference because the hospital is now governed by a board. If that's the board you were referring to, you said before the
Correct.
board was formed and so on. So this, I know I'm giving you a big thing to chew on, but just make some closing remarks around just what can we do to see an improvement? And any other information or things that we need to talk about that the hour did not allow us to get to?
Well, I would like to speak to people, um, as it pertains to now their responsibility, because if we do not have the system, while it is our right and it is the responsibility of the system to provide the services, if it is not going right up there in the system, it means we should um, do something more about our own responsibility in protecting our health. And
I like that.
yes, it goes back to um, what we eat, because you know and the research shows that, speaks to a lot of processed foods, a lot of processed food. We hear all the time, eat what we grow and grow what we eat. um on a weekly basis, while it is true the finances are low, and I did speak to uh your healthier foods are more expensive than the junk foods. But the sugars, we can cut. In fact, we could save if we cut down on sugars, if we cut down on salt, if we cut down on the processed foods, and cancer thrives on sugar and obesity and so on. So those are areas we need to look at. Also, what we use on our bodies. The skin is the largest organ of the body, and permit me, promoting personal care products that are healthy, because over the years, if you use a product that has, even if the tiniest bit of harmful elements in it, and you use it for 60 years, at the end of your 60th year, it's going to show up. So that's important. We need to look at everything that we're putting
Hair
in this
products, yeah.
body. Yes, hair products, makeups. We need to look and inspect at everything we are putting on this body, as well as it into this body. We've made a lot of progress with education about exercise. So I think people who are not exercising, who are not doing at least a half hour daily, people who really don't want to do it. But that's an area, I think, health promotion wise, that message has been made, has gotten across. I mean, as people grow, your population is growing, you have to repeat the message to the younger ones. But taking responsibility for our health in cutting off the bad things and save in that respect, so that we can afford the healthier foods. Holding our health professionals responsible as well, because when I was growing up, everybody just say yes doctor, yes doctor, yes nurse, and what the doctor and the nurse say goes. But more and more, we need to be part of the treatment plan. We need to question our nurses and our midwives and our doctors, and be part of the plan of care for our body. My health, my body, not just my rights, my responsibility as well. And of course, the 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 governance. Ronald spoke to health financing, and that's a very key aspect of universal health coverage. Dominica spoke of health insurance many years ago, and it was just a talk. But up to this day, we have not done nothing about a national health insurance, because we always have
Uh-oh. Mhm.
and who delay health interventions because they cannot afford. And holding our government accountable. Speaking of government, it's been almost a year. I'm trying to have a meeting with the Minister of Health concerning some issues with our Midwives Association. I met the permanent secretary, but the minister just will not meet me. I don't know, not know what is afraid. I like to hold people accountable. I have an issue, I call you up. And before I go public, I like to call up and ask a question. Let's talk about it. So people need to learn to do that. Don't be afraid of your doctors and your nurses. Don't be afraid of the people that you give your vote, for goodness sake, and say, what is happening? How comes we at that level? And let's hold them at a high standard. 50% can never be enough. And I'm just using this figure for
reference.
for reference, because if we're talking about excellence in healthcare, excellence in our environment, excellence in our professionalism, because trust me, medical people, we are held, our training demands that we deliver on a high standard. Otherwise, more people would be dying if we were not delivering, that level. But the resources we need, Can you imagine? My husband visits a co-worker, and the next day he says to me, where can I get plaster? I tell him where, and he says he buys a plaster and he tells me, bring that to his co-worker. That should never happen. These days, people, instead of they being told when they enter hospital, what is the policy of the hospital? What are your rights and privileges when you come for care? What should you expect from us? They're being told, come in with your plaster, come in with your bandage, come in. I'm ashamed of that. That's not supposed to happen. We have too much resources. With our CBI, for us to be at that level where we have to beg our patients to bring in those little resources. But again, to end, I will say, because we know things are bad up there, let us do all we can to prevent us, which is right.
Need to go over there.
Right. So again, the emphasis is on prevention, because cure is not just what's the saying? Prevention is better
than cure.
Cure is not only you don't want to prevent it, because it's a lot of money to cure, but it's cheaper. It's cheaper to prevent in the first place. So I'll end on that note.
Before you go though, as part of your description, you describe yourself as an entrepreneur. So take a minute or so and tell people about your business. What services you offer?
Yes, thanks for that. Ronald is laughing. A partner with Opulence Global, and this company has revolutionized personal care products. And I spoke to personal care products because a lot of the personal care products we use, beginning with makeup and skin lotions, these things have chemicals in it that we use over years that are harmful to our body. And we know big pharma out there. Unfortunately, we shouldn't have to be afraid to take medicine, because medicines have chemicals in them that cause cancer. I was appalled the other day to hear a anti-diabetic drug was withdrawn because it has too much cancer-causing agent. It shouldn't have in the first place. For it to have too much. So my company, we promote health supplements that are really high performance and neutralize free radicals, because at the end of the day, free radicals are what cause disease.
Where persons can go to access the service and products.
I would have to give you put my link on your page,
but
I can be found on as Rosie Felix and Royal Rosie on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, and Fountain of Life. That's a major product there, launched in 2018, really fights inflammation, and inflammation is guilty of all disease. When I was growing up, and you ask, when I was growing up, any illness somebody had, the older folks would say, "Any left flammation." You understand part one, Mr. Drago, Mr. Anthony?
No, must have parlé pas très pièce, no?
Bon, all right. Every disease, the breast cancer you spoke about, the prostate cancer, every disease begins with inflammation when the inflammation is not taken care of. And we have a prize-winning product in lignans in fountain of life that can help us to take care of all this inflammation. Because truth be told, the free radicals are coming at us fast and furious, and all our processed foods cannot deal with it.
Do you have
Thank.
an issue giving your phone number or not?
Oh no, I'm transparent. 617-617-083. So that's 1-767-617-0833.
Okay. Right. So if you guys want to contact this Rosie to access some of these wonderful products to which she was referring to, give her a call, or you can, if you don't have Facebook or Instagram, but if you do have Facebook, it was look for Royal Rosie, send her a message, because all of these chemicals, the perms, the skincare products, all of those things, the supplements, we have to be careful what the source is, because there are so many folks whose only objective is to make a profit, not necessarily to provide good service. So thank you for all what you've done and what you continue to do. Don't go as yet, but I'm going to go to Ronald, um, and talk about, your, just close it up, Ronald, people's rights.
Yeah.
Your mic is muted, but people's
Thank you.
rights and how and the denial of their rights, and how do they recognize when their rights are being violated so that they can demand that right to proper health care.
Well, first of all, let me put on a different hat as you give me that opportunity to close. I hope it will not, it will only enhance the program and not create um, any other
We're not afraid of that,
infringement.
yeah. We're not
Okay,
afraid of that. So go
yeah.
right ahead.
No, yeah, a couple things before I get into that last part, which I think is fundamental, and the rights to healthcare, and as an individual, as a family. But I think what is also important, there must be a holistic approach, all right, as to how we strengthen our healthcare system. We have to look at the food, and Nurse Rosie spoke about it, the nutrition, agriculture, facilities, financing, the environment. So we must have a holistic approach. And to do this, our healthcare workers too, they play a fundamental role. So they cannot continue to be getting peanuts. And that is why a new regime, a new government is needed, so that the issues surrounding the seriousness of one health can be taken to the next level. And that's why the United Workers' Party continues to be an advocate for the issues surrounding your health. Because it's important. You need a generation that would be able to continue to survive. The financial aspect of it, I don't believe anybody should go to the hospital and have to make any special call to be given any kind of special treatment. It should be across the board. And that is your right.
And therefore, a health insurance, a national health insurance,
as
is
Rosie
required.
speak about.
Yeah.
And you see, the thing is, we as a people must be more positive. I remembered the cycling team went to Bahamas, and they were amazed. They were amazed because I think one of them left a water bottle just on the side of the road while the race was going on. And almost 3 people came to them and tell them, pick this up, because Bahamas is very clean. The environment is big. They take it very seriously. All right. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah.
All right?
All of that.
What is important is the persons like, and I'm hoping that I don't want to call any company name, but let's say the companies that are involved in healthy lifestyle, the duties on the products they are bringing in must be reduced, because the winners of that reduction would be the persons who benefit from it, and that is our people. So reduce it, as it relates to this. Develop better policies to hold people accountable. We hear over the past time, and the Minister of Health, when there was some kind of the issue of confidentiality, allegedly may have, it occurred at the Princess Margaret Hospital, and there were discussions surrounding the life of our beautiful Miss Frampton. May her soul rest in peace. You can't address issues with a voice note. There must be policies in place and procedures, accountability. So anytime those rights of yours as an individual has been infringed on, sometimes I'm hearing from, and it's an allegation again. I do not have, I wasn't there, I don't know, but I'm hearing that sometimes the people at the mental health, it's almost like, it's really appalling to see how sometimes, and again, it's not necessarily the fault of the professionals. Sometimes it's just the system, the policy.
That is difficult.
That is the problem, It's the system, the policy. You're having nowadays, Dominica has become an environment where sometimes the person who is just the cleaner at the hospital giving instructions as an administrator, can't have those things happening, So we have to take it from a holistic perspective. I believe we have some good things in the health center, in the health services. I believe so. I believe we have good professionals. I believe we have good nurses. There is scope, obviously, for more training. I believe technology need to be implemented. Why on earth do we have to? We speak of so much money in the healthcare system, and every time somebody is on, well, I don't know, maybe I'll have to call nurse after and get proper terminologies as it relates to the health sector. But every time somebody have to get something done, they have to leave the state, and we're boasting of a beautiful hospital, but they have to leave to go somewhere else.
Right.
People used to come to Dominica
For
many
health.
years ago to get to, they used to come to Dominica from Barbados and come to Dominica to get certain surgeries done and to get certain things done, because it was all about what Nurse Rosie spoke about earlier, the standard, the 97%. I'm not trying to contradict myself, I'm just saying that notwithstanding there are some good professionals, there are some good nurses, there is a need for technology and training.
All right. So before I let you go, I also want to give you an opportunity to put a plug in for your business. I know you're an attorney at law. I don't know what other businesses you have, but feel free to let the audience know what you do, what services you offer, how you can be contacted.
Okay, first of all, I have a law firm, Ronald Charles and Associates. I call it the poor people's firm.
You're working for blessings,
we do both civil and criminal matters. And of course, we do probate. We do, if you have wills to do, whatever services that you may need in the legal field, we're happy to provide that. We're going into a new venture, and that is property management and real estate. That business will be launched very soon, and I'm happy and excited to bring the news on your program. And
Perfect place. That's
Yeah,
right down. That's
we
right down
get
my
it there.
alley. Yeah.
And I'm going to be introduced to another new business that Rosie spoke of. So I'm excited about that too.
Hmm.
Um, and that's what we do. I'm also into the um, in poultry. My dad did it for a very, very long time, for many, many, many years. And we continue to do so. It's struggling because I must admit that it is difficult sometimes to get um, some of the help because his son is Ronald Charles. So it's difficult, to get the basic help that everybody else get. You get something, but nothing to shout about. So we're also into that egg production.
Okay.
And of course, that is about it that we do. I can be contacted at RC Associates at cwdom.dm, RC Associates at cwdom.dm. And of course, you can always contact me at 440-8854 or 440-1484.
Say the number again. Sorry. Give me a chance. Let me type it in.
Yeah,
Was it?
it's 440, well, 1767 440-1484 or 440-8854
4408854.
8854.
Uh-huh.
And our email is rcassociates at cwdom.dm. You can drop a line to the
RC
administrator
Associates at
at
what?
cwdom.dm.
W dot DM.
Yeah. And of course, um, Ronald Charles and Associates also, we're located at the 7th Cross Street. That is opposite ACS. You can just, or near the Kings Hill bus stop. And of course, you can leave all your inquiries through email, and we can assure you somebody
Certainly.
will get back in touch with you.
All right.
And that's what I basically do. While I'm on this, although it's not a business, but it's a non-profit, I would also use this platform to ask the diaspora or anybody who is able to assist. The Cycling Association, we are welcoming anybody who has extra bikes, extra gears, whatever they have. We are doing this because we're starting to get a flow of young people who are interested in the sport. But again, the sport is an expensive sport, and some of them cannot afford it. So if you want to reach out through this medium, I'll be more than happy to assist, because our young people need that avenue, need that to be able to grow in the sport. That is about it.
All
I
right.
want to say,
Before you do that, let me just step in and say that we also have a request from the Pioneers Sports Club. Coach Cedric Harris contacted us. There are two athletic meets in Martinique that he's trying to take a group of young Dominicans to compete and to participate. Pioneers Sports Club. Remember, Cedric was my guest on here a few weeks ago.
okay,
They're trying to go to Martinique. There's a meet on the 27th of April and another one on the 8th of May. They're trying to take 16 a 16 member team to both of these meets, and it's costing about $400 per person. And so they're asking for whatever help, folks. You're talking about health, and so sports is a tremendous part of health, because when you get a young person involved in sports, it stays with them for the rest of their lives
Mhm.
and gives them a different trajectory in terms of their health and health outcome. So I don't see a contact for Cedric. It may be there, but I just missed it. But if you're willing to help them, they want to go to Martinique on the 27th of April and on the 8th of May to participate in some athletic meet. So just contact me, drop us a line, and we can give you the how you can contact them to to help them and contribute to them. So, Ronald, I'm going to tell you thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. I really appreciate it. And of course, you hear this well spoken, brilliant attorney at law. he wouldn't say it, but he was my student at the
College.
college.
Yeah,
Around it was 93, I think, 92,
that is correct.
93. Yep,
Don't,
yep.
don't don't sell out. Don't sell out the ages.
The selling the age. Yeah, he was my student at the technical. Got him into Clifton Jubilee
You look like
That is
brothers.
College.
did
Yeah,
architectural engineering.
architectural engineering, definitely. So good job,
Yeah, Mr.
and
Drago, Mr.
congratulations.
Cedric number is 616-4255.
767
616-4255.
616 4255. Hold on. Make sure I do it right. 767 616.
616. I had it a while
Yeah,
just
no, yeah, yeah. No, me and my fat finger typing. 4255. Okay.
Mm,
Cedric Harris. Let me put his
that is
name there.
correct.
hmm All right, folks. So if you can send him a WhatsApp message, a text or something, he'll tell you how you can make your contribution. But they really need the assistance, and any assistance that you can give will go a long way. It's 400 EC dollars per team member, and he would really like to take all 16 members to Martinique at those two meets. All right. So I was saying thank you very much, Ronald,
Yeah.
um, for being on, and Miss Rosie as well. I appreciate so much both of your contributions. You guys don't hold it back, and I didn't want you to hold it back. Gave us some good information. I really appreciate it,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for
Thank
having
you.
us. Thank you.
My
Thanks for the
pleasure.
opportunity, and may God continue to bless all of you who bring this information to the Commonwealth of Dominica and the world by extension.
And both of you, if you have your businesses, so if you want to come back on and talk about the
Mm,
services that you offer, you're quite
no
welcome.
problem.
I believe we have to support the people who are trying to make a difference.
Mhm.
Um, so
Certainly, the line, the world is an online, is one village now. So when we speak to issues, we hear of other countries' issues. The issues out there, our issues out there, but help is also out there. And if our leaders, our citizens, if we are open, we will get help. But we have to be open. We can't keep our gates and doors and hearts locked and
yes, exactly.
minds. We have to be open to shift in the paradigm shift and all of that. So thank you for that opportunity, and surely I'll take you up on that to be back.
Definitely, you know how to reach
Miss
us.
Elsa has already
Yeah, you know how
said,
to reach
hope
us.
it's not the last time. So thank you very much, and good night.
Good night to you. Good night, both of you.
Good
All
night.
right.
Bye.
So, folks, there you had it. Just a really wonderful conversation, uh, highlighting areas that needs improvement, highlighting some good areas, the education of folks about screening that was raised. Very happy to hear we made progress on that front. Um, you know, the continued professionalism of our healthcare workers, and basically we have the ingredients to have a wonderful healthcare system. We have clean water, we have fresh air, we have access to food. We are relatively war free, although there's more violence that we hear about, but I think it could be easily reversed. Um, we should be aiming to make Dominica one of the healthiest places on earth. We didn't get a chance to talk about the prevalence of high blood pressure and diabetes and all of that, but all of that can be taken care of with just implementing some of this physical activity that was spoken about. So, very big thank you to my guest tonight, Mr. Ronald Charles, attorney at law, cyclist, businessman, and of course, Nurse Rosie Felix, nurse, midwife, entrepreneur, um, activist and advocate for rights. So tonight's program was in commemoration of World Health Day, which was April 7th, 2024, under the theme My Health, My Right. So know your rights and demand proper and safe and affordable healthcare. We'll do this again next week. Continue to enjoy the week as you approach. Have a good weekend. If you can, please support. If you can, please support Cedric and the Pioneers team to trying to get a group to Martinique to participate in these two sports meet. Anything that you can send will be great. Will be helpful. So we will see you next week. Good night, everyone.